Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're happy to be here tonight. I'm Rabbi Lauren Werber.
I'm Rabbi Robert Barr.
And we're glad you're joining us at Congregation Beth Adam in Cincinnati to celebrate Shabbat and also this evening to celebrate Sukkot. Sukkot, if you're not familiar with it, is this holiday that comes on the tails of Yom Kippur, so we sometimes forget about it.
It comes right at the tail. If I had been a biblical rabbi, if there were no biblical rabbis, but if I was involved in building the calendar, I would have moved it.
Me too. I'd put it in spring, but here it is.
It's here anyway.
And it's here for one of the two reasons that the rabbis come up with for celebrating, and that's as an agricultural festival. That's the one that's probably historically accurate, that there was a harvest festival at that time. So we celebrate the harvest and give thanks for nature's bounty. The second reason that the rabbis place upon the value they put on Sukkot comes from the biblical story of the Exodus and the idea that we were wandering in the wilderness. And in both of these stories, we have the idea of temporary dwellings, of huts that we build, and there's all kinds of rules if you want to follow the rabbis about how we build them. And they remind us in part of how fragile our lives are, how fragile the world is, which is a very clear message these weeks as we're in hurricane season, and we all know that. But they also remind us, the holiday of Sukkot and the Sukkot, the structure that we build, to rejoice in nature's gifts and to look around us and appreciate nature. On this Shabbat, then, we begin with gratitude and with wonder, as we begin with a reflection adapted from Alden Solovey about this season of building.
Go ahead.
Who's reading? This is the season of building tents of holiness, of building shelters of peace in our land and in our hearts. This is the season of rejoicing in nature's bounty and our blessings, of rejoicing in the radiance and splendor of our earth. This is the season of thanksgiving, of giving thanks for the gifts of the land, of giving thanks for gifts yet to come, as we delight in the wonders of our world. This is the season of building tabernacles of joy and gladness in our moments and in our days, in our homes and in our lives. This is the season that summons jubilation and exaltation as we imagine and work toward a world of harmony and love under one great sukkah, a sanctuary of wonder and awe for all nations and all peoples. We hope for that day when what the sages call a Sukkat Shalom, a shelter of peace, will descend upon us. And Shabbat is supposed to be a taste of that shelter of peace. We celebrate how good it is to be together in this moment that resembles that time of peace. Hine Matov.
Hine טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. Ya la 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 la. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. Ya la 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 la. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. Ya la 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 la. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
6 days we speak, tonight we listen. 6 days we build, tonight we rest. 6 days we take care of others, Tonight we nurture ourselves. 6 days we work to change our world. Tonight we are renewed by what is eternal. 6 days we plan for the future. Tonight we are enveloped in the present. 6 days we eat and drink in haste. Tonight we savor the taste of bread and wine and feel the bond of the world that feeds us. 6 days we teach. Tonight we learn. 6 days we hear the clamor. Tonight we listen for clarity. 6 days we struggle to expand our influence. Tonight we are dissolved in a greater influence. 6 days we focus our vision on the task at hand. Tonight we look beyond what we can see. May each of us, all of us, find our Sabbath peace. Shabbat Shalom.
On Shabbat, we light the candles. Candles bring forth light, illuminating the darkness. Candles offer us warmth, providing comfort. Candles awaken us as we reach for possibilities. As we light these candles, let us use their light to stretch beyond ourselves, touching others, bettering our world. What do you like to do?
Baruch ha'or ba'olam, blessed is the light within the world. Baruch ha'or ba'adam, blessed is the light within each person. Baruch ha'or ba'shabbat, blessed is the light. Shabbat.
Well, we spoke about Sukkot and what message we want to bring with Sukkot, and I think you were the one that had an idea about why it's so especially important this year.
I think it really is. You mentioned right at the beginning of the service the idea of fragility, and the sukkah is mostly a temporary dwelling. It was, depending on which historical reason we give, but it was a temporary dwelling. Perhaps they put it into the fields to live there just as they harvested, but then it's become the symbol, and there's all these rules, and the roof itself, you're supposed to see the sky. And we talk about that, but we're living in a time when substantial buildings are now fragile. With the hurricanes that we have witnessed in recent weeks, we are watching homes being leveled, buildings being devastated, lives being upturned. And it seems to me that rather than having to create something fragile and create this ritual for this year, we should really look at what's going on around us and understand that the power of nature is tremendous. I mean, we begin to think about these storms that are so strong. They're called 100-year storms, but unfortunately we've had multiple ones. And the winds are so powerful and the waves are so mighty that they're transforming the landscape. They're changing houses. So we're living in a time when the power of nature turns even that which we perceive as strong into something that's quite fragile. And I think we all have a responsibility this year for Sukkot, that we think about how do we help those whose lives have really been upturned, right? Really, if you think from Florida up through Tennessee, we're watching, people really struggling with their lives. And what are our responsibilities? Those of us who are safe. I'm hoping that everybody who's participating tonight is safe, that your homes are okay, that your residents are intact. But it's conceivable that we have members who live in different places where they've had to leave to rush for safety.
And you bring up a good point in that we tend to think or fail to think about it. So we think if we're safe from these things, it's meant to be. Mm-hmm. that we're safe and secure and others are vulnerable. Mm-hmm. But it isn't so. And all of us in the blink of an eye can be vulnerable from something sure. Nature brings, something that happens in our mm-hmm. own world. And I think that's the point of Sukkot, is you're never immune to it.
Right.
And therefore, if it doesn't cause us to think in the ways you're talking about, we haven't figured out Sukkot, right? Mm-hmm. Because we understand what it is to be vulnerable, we need to look at those whose lives are upturned and Absolutely. How we can be helpful.
Right.
And this year, I think you're right. For those who build a sukkah, wonderful. It's always good to build one. But this year, we really don't need them to understand. Turn on the TV or scroll your news for 30 seconds.
30 seconds. And I thought something too that you said at the beginning just struck me. This was, or Sukkot probably grew out of a before there were Jews. There was a nature festival because because nature was really relatively consistent. It wasn't always exactly the same, but the cycle of the seasons and when people planted and when they harvested was fairly consistent in particular regions. We're now witnessing and living through massive global climate change. And all of a sudden, that which we thought was stable, nature itself, the seasons themselves, are being uprooted and transformed. We know that there's climate migration, certainly through Africa, where people can no longer grow food where they once were able to grow. Water is an issue throughout the Middle East. There's simply not enough. We're witnessing things in the United States where, coastlines that once were okay are no longer okay. People built and their houses were safe. And all of a sudden, the surges are getting so strong. So that which we thought was consistent and unchanging, we've changed.
It's a scary thought, and it's true, and it's on us.
It's on us.
We've changed it. But we also get this glimpse into what our ancient spiritual ancestors may have been feeling, because you're right that there was an order to it, but they knew very well they were at the mercy of these seasons and at the mercy of nature. And that's why have a harvest festival?
Right.
Because you are really thankful that this year again, you have a harvest.
Right. Much more than we do, because I go to the grocery store. I've never harvested wheat in my life.
Right. And that's my point. It doesn't matter to you if Cincinnati had a dry season. You're going to get your bread.
Right.
You're going to get fruits and vegetables. Maybe not, you might have a bad season for something, but your life and well-being has never depended, nor mine, on a season. And what we're seeing now, what you're describing is, it kind of does.
Right.
It kind of does. We're breaking the natural world in such a way that we can recognize our vulnerabilities in a way that's, I think, new to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was saying, as you were talking about season, I'm trying to think. The most my life has ever been disrupted by weather is probably a big snow or ice storm, right? And that's for a day or two. Oh, I can't get out. I have to walk. But that's about it. Nature has never really changed my life. And so Sukkot calls us to think about that. And this time that we're living in where we're seeing these storms and seeing these changes even heightens that and makes it more obvious in a way that it needs to be. So we all have that sense of responsibility, I think, to think about that. And then if we can assist people, those of us who are safe, if we can donate money, most of it, that's really typically what places need. We should try to do that. I know we've just done for our Yom Kippur at Beth Adam, we collect food. We're fortunate those of us who have enough to eat and have the money to do that can help those in need. This is another time in need. I was reading about Asheville, North Carolina, and my wife and I were fortunate enough to be there a few months ago, and we walked through the art district and we bought some pieces of art there. We had a really great conversation, and we went to the particular store, and that store was just a little bit off the beaten path, and they physically are safe, but they're closed, and they're asking people to support the arts district to try to help them rebuild, because what had taken years to build up is got wiped out very quickly.
Doesn't take long,
no.
Right? And that's a good message, I think, for us to end with, right? While we are hopeful for this Sukkot Shalom, this shelter of peace and of peacefulness to somehow take root in our world, we've got to do something to make it happen. And right now, part of that is bringing some small measure of peacefulness or of shelter to those who most need it. So we do encourage you in whatever way you can to contribute to a cause that will help those who have been affected, even as those of us are safe or grateful that it wasn't us.
Absolutely.
And hopefully they will find some healing and ability to rebuild quickly. we are going to begin to look toward hope, but also look toward memory as we continue in our service. How about if you take a turn?
In time, disturbances will pass, difficulties will dissolve. In time, aggravations will be forgotten, obstacles will be overcome. In time, we will find solutions even to our most pressing concerns. Mountains move and even disappear. Clouds part, revealing an ever-present sun. In time, moments of desperation will give way to an inner calm, and through others, we will find comfort for our fears. In time, may we find ways to accept life's unending turbulence completely and move gently forward in time.
The cycle of life unfolds. Just as we rejoice in new life, we mourn its final ending, the inevitable death of those whose lives have touched ours. Today, we join voices with others as we say aloud the words which help us to recall those we have lost. We remember the moments we have shared, the laughter and the tears, the beauty and the pain. Inevitably, as our lives intertwined, as we have touched one another, we have been influenced, changed, enriched by their presence. And so as we mourn their loss, we celebrate their life. Thus, the cycle continues, their lives forever marking the continued unfolding of our own.
And we pause as we remember those who no longer walk among us, relatives, loved ones, friends who no longer among the living. We think about those too who have died as a result of war, famine, genocide that mars our planet. We think about those who died defending the principles of justice and of peace and democracy throughout the world. We think about all our loved ones who no longer walk among us. Ein b'dei hamavet hakoach la'akor ma'ashetun b'lev. Death cannot take that which is locked in our hearts. With our tears in our sorrow, we remember.
With our courage and our strength, we do not forget. Acts of kindness, deeds of courage will remain. Beauty created, wisdom shared is not lost. With our tears in our sorrow, we remember. Im da'ot be'einenu, ve'et evleinu, nishmor al zecher ha'huveinu. With our tears in our sorrow, we remember. Zecher tzedek livracha. May the memory of good people bless our days. On Shabbat, it is our custom to share wine with family, friends, and community. The wine reminds us that it is not enough for us to quench our physical thirst. We must nourish our spirit as well. As we celebrate Shabbat, may this wine remind us to live our lives to the fullest and to embrace the joys and pleasures that life offers. Bruchim ha'chaim ba'olam. Blessed is the life within the world. Bruchim ha'chaim ba'adam. Blessed is the life within us.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
I was going to start singing it, but I thought I'd save that for another day.
We want people to finish.
You want people to be out of way, you're running away.
Anything that we want to let people know before we finish up?
I think the best announcement always is to go to bethadam.org. That's our congregational website. And there you'll find out about upcoming events. You'll find out about adult education, hybrid services, streaming services, and things like that. And now that the holiday season is over, we're getting back to our regular schedule. So go to bethadam.org. And I'll make one other thing. If you missed one of our high holiday services, one of the beauties of being technologically adequate, I was going to say, yeah, just adequate, is that we record our services once they've been streamed, they're recorded, and you can go back in time and you can watch any of the ones that you might have missed.
Thank you. Soon we will conclude with a song and our final benediction. Let's also reflect once again on Sukkot and how we can carry Sukkot into Shabbat. This is adapted from Michael Adam Latz. As we imagine dwelling for 7 nights underneath the moon in fragile Sukkot, it seems to me that to make this Chag, this festival of joyous abundance, real and alive and holy, we must live as we built our Sukkot, strong enough to let the wind through, open enough to see the stars, wide enough to let lots of love inside, powerful enough to let go of the crap we don't really need, insightful enough to realize most of the stuff we collect is in fact unnecessary, and bold enough to stand resolute in the face of the unknown. May this be a festival of joy, a new beginning of hope and overflowing with abundance. Amen.
That's beautiful.
Shalom chaverim, farewell, our friends. We close with these very simple words. Shalom chaverim, peace or farewell, but peace, friends. Lehitraot, we'll see you soon.
Shalom kaverim, shalom kaverim, shalom, shalom. Lehitraot, lehitraot, shalom, shalom. Shalom kaverim, shalom kaverim, shalom, shalom. Lehitraot, lehitraot, shalom, shalom.
May we know blessings those who are near. May we know blessings those who are far. May the Sabbath bring its goodness to everyone soon, wherever they are.
May we know blessings through the day. May we know blessings through the night. May health be for our children. All things soon be right.
May we know blessings at our comings. May we know blessings when we depart. May we live each day with peace and wisdom in each heart. Ken Yehi.
Ken Yehi, thank you for joining me, Rabbi Barr.
Thanks for having me.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And thank everybody else. Thank you for being here. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful to be together.